We're coming on the air with breaking news. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina has died. His office released a statement just now that reads, on the evening of Saturday, July 11th, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham passed away from a brief and sudden illness. Senator Graham's family appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult period.
Tonight, new video showing more than a dozen FBI agents fanning out across the Washington home of the late Senator Lindsey Graham. The FBI shutting down the street as investigators spent several hours on scene, taking photos and searching the property. Two law enforcement sources familiar with the scene tell NBC News their work is out of an abundance of caution. So far, no evidence has emerged to suggest foul play.
Because of my personal information being released by Congress, I was subjected to a direct and significant threat on my life. And I put that information in the record. I had to move. In that threat, I was called a detestable sand nigger who had no right being in this country. You should go back to where you came from. You belong with your terrorist home friends.
If I could also ask, are you aware of why the FBI is looking into Senator Graham's death? Have you gotten any updates on why they were at his home?
Well, I don't know why, because I think, he had a problem. His father had a very similar problem, as you know. It's very unique. At first I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was, I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you can solve that problem, but what happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing. And supposedly, and I've watched all the medical reports, I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is almost undetectable. And if it happens, there's not much you can do about it. It sounds unfortunate, but there's not much you can do about it. If you look at his father died of the same thing at about the same age. So there was not much. They say it's almost undetectable.
Everybody who signed the warrant under questioning by me said if they knew then what they know now, they wouldn't sign the warrant. Comey, the reason you're here is because most of the public, almost every Republican believes that the FBI has been used continuously in a political fashion, ignoring evidence, making up evidence, lying to get Donald Trump.
This is the hearing exchange that the other side of the aisle doesn't want covered. And it may be the most documented case of institutional FBI corruption ever laid out in a confirmation hearing. Senator Graham doesn't ask Patel about his qualifications or his controversies. He asked about Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI's 2016 investigation into the Trump campaign that the Inspector General later described as fraudulent at its core, mismanaged at its core, and running stop signs at every turn. The Steele dossier, the Carter Page FISA warrants, the primary source who told the FBI in January 2017 that everything he said was word of mouth, hearsay, and things he heard in jest, and the FBI got 2 more warrants after that. The FBI lawyer who went to jail for manipulating a CIA email to deceive the FISA court, and every senior official who signed those warrants, later admitting they wouldn't have signed if they'd known the truth. As a journalist and independent reporter, what this hearing documents is not a political argument. It is a documented institutional failure with criminal convictions attached to it. And Patel is being confirmed because he was the one who exposed it. Let's go through it.
Have you ever been subject to racism as an individual?
Well, if you look at the record from January 6th, where I testified before that committee, because of my personal information being released by Congress, I was subjected to a direct and significant threat on my life. And I put that information in the record. I had to move. In that threat, I was called a detestable, and I'll apologize if I don't get it all right, but it's in the record, a detestable sand nigger who had no right being in this country. You should go back to where you came from. You belong with your terrorist home friends. That's what was sent to me. That's just a piece of it. But that's nothing compared to what the men and women in law enforcement face every day. And that's why they have my support.
Graham opens with something nobody in this confirmation process has asked directly. Have you personally experienced racism? Patel confirms yes and doesn't deflect. After his personal information was released by Congress during his January 6th testimony, he received a direct death threat. The language in that threat entered into the record, called him a detestable slur, told him he had no right being in this country, and told him to go back where he came from. A son of Indian immigrants, born and raised in America, threatened for testifying before Congress. Then Patel does something that defines his public character in this hearing. He says that threat is nothing compared to what law enforcement faces every day. That pivot from personal victim to institutional defender is the reason 3,100 sheriffs endorsed him, and it sets the tone for everything that follows.
I think the reason you're here has a lot to do with your work on Crossfire Hurricane. Are you familiar with that FBI operation?
I am, Senator.
So Senator Durbin mentioned the church report and the history of abuse, but he failed to mention Crossfire Hurricane. He failed to mention the Horowitz report. Wonder why? If you're waiting for these guys over here to figure that out, you're going to die waiting. So this is the Nunes memo. You work for Mr. Nunes over on the House side, David Nunes.
Sorry?
Are you familiar with this memo by the Foreign Intelligence Service Act abuses
Yes.
at the Department of Justice?
Absolutely.
Did you help write this memo?
I did as a staffer.
Okay, I'm going to put this in the record.
Thank you.
In this memo, you kind of dissected the abuses of Crossfire Hurricane, right?
I did, Senator.
And the Mueller investigation. So the Crossfire Hurricane investigators, two of them were Strzok and Page. Are you familiar with them?
I am, Senator.
It was opened up on July the 31st, 2016. And here's what Strzok said. And damn, this feels momentous because this matters. The other one did too. That was to ensure we didn't F something up. This matters because this matters. So super glad to be on this voyage with you. That's to Page. And Page responds a couple of months later, he's not ever going to be president, right? Talking about Trump. Strzok, no, he won't. We'll stop it. Is it fair to say that the people in charge of investigating Crossfire Hurricane hated Trump's guts?
Graham pivots to the reason he believes Patel is in that chair at all. Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI counterintelligence investigation into the Trump campaign, opened on July 31st, 2016. The people leading it, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, their texts entered into the record. Damn, this feels momentous. We didn't stop him before, but we will this time. Trump's not ever going to be president, we'll stop it. Graham asks, is it fair to say the people in charge of investigating Crossfire Hurricane hated Trump's guts? Patel doesn't need to characterize it, the texts speak for themselves. Graham's assessment, if not for Crossfire Hurricane, Patel wouldn't be in that chair. Because the reason Patel is there is to ensure it never happens again. And the reason it happened at all is documented in the record.
That statement, along with the statements from the sources
Are
during the
those days
operations-
over in the FBI, you hope?
Well, if they're not, they will be.
Okay, good. You know who Carter Page was?
I do, Senator.
Do you know that the FBI secured warrants against him on 4 different occasions?
Yes, Senator.
Do you know that the information that they relied upon came from the Steele dossier?
I do.
Was it you that were able to find out that the Steele dossier was a bunch of crap?
Yes, Senator, we followed the money and we exposed the fraud that was the Steele dossier.
And the primary subsource was Igor Danchenko, right?
That's correct, Senator.
And he was actually a Russian analyst.
That's right.
Are you aware that in January he told the FBI that, let's see, what did he tell the FBI? Steele had no proof to support the statements, then it was just talk. The primary subsource explained to the FBI that his information came from word of mouth and hearsay, conversations he had with friends over beers, and some of the information were statements he heard made in jest. And he told the FBI this in January
That's
of
right.
2017. And they got 2 more warrants after that.
That's correct.
Are you aware that the FBI had volumes of information that the Steele dossier was a bunch of bullshit and nobody ever told anybody at the top?
I am, sir. We exposed
Or
it.
they lied about being told?
That's correct.
So are you aware of the fact that the FISA court rebuked the FBI? Are you aware of the fact that an FBI lawyer went to jail because he misled the court by manipulating a email from the CIA?
I am.
Do you believe that Crossfire Hurricane was one of the most disgusting episodes in FBI history of a corrupt investigation led by corrupt people who wanted to take Donald Trump down?
Yes, sir.
You think that's why you're in this chair today, to fix that?
I think that's a big part of the
Without
reason.
Crossfire Hurricane, this guy wouldn't be here. And my friends on the other side, like pulling teeth.
This is the most legally documented section of the hearing. Carter Page, FISA warrants obtained against him on 4 separate occasions. The primary intelligence behind all of them, the Steele dossier. Patel helped expose what that dossier actually was. The primary subsource, Igor Danchenko, told the FBI in January 2017 that everything in the dossier was word of mouth, hearsay, things heard in conversation over beers, and statements made in jest. The FBI was told this directly. Then they got 2 more warrants. An FBI lawyer went to jail for manipulating a CIA email to deceive the FISA court into approving one of those warrants. The FISA court itself later rebuked the FBI. The Inspector General labeled the investigation fraudulent at its core, mismanaged at its core, running stop signs at every turn. The Durham report called it obviously politically motivated. Every FBI agent involved was telling colleagues this information was unreliable. Nobody at the top was told, or they were told and lied about being told. Patel confirms they lied about being told.
Horowitz investigation, the Inspector General labeled this fraudulent at its core, mismanaged at its core, running stop signs. At every turn, they went forward when they should have stopped. The Durham report said it was obviously politically motivated. FBI agents were telling anybody and everybody that would listen, this is not reliable, this is not trustworthy, but they plowed on. And because of you and Trey Gowdy and others, we now know about this. Everybody who signed the warrant under questioning by me said if they knew then what they know now, they wouldn't sign the warrant. Comey said that. Yates said that. Rosenstein said that. The reason you're here is because most of the public, almost every Republican believes that the FBI has been used continuously in a political fashion, ignoring evidence, making up evidence, lying to get Donald Trump. And when it came to the Hunter Biden laptop, they told every social media outlet in October 2020, oh, that's Russian disinformation. That was BS too. Right before the election, the FBI intervened to shut reporting on the Hunter laptop down as being Russian misinformation, according to Zuckerberg. Do you promise all of us those days are over at the FBI?
Yes, Senator, they are.
Are you proud of what you did to find all that?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's why you're here today, is to make sure that never happens again?
The American people deserve just that.
Graham lands the closing argument of this section with the single most damning fact in the entire Crossfire Hurricane record. Every senior official who signed the FISA warrants, Comey, Yates, Rothstein, when questioned, said the same thing. If they had known then what they know now, they would not have signed. Every single one of them. 4 warrants. 4 admissions that they should never have been issued. Graham then adds the Hunter Biden laptop. The FBI told every major social media platform in October 2020, just before the election, that the laptop story was Russian disinformation. It wasn't. Mark Zuckerberg has confirmed that the FBI's intervention caused Facebook to suppress reporting on it. Graham asked Patel, you promised those days are over at the FBI. Patel says, yes, Senator, they are. Graham closes, the American people deserve just that. My read as an independent journalist, this exchange is the pro-Patel case at its strongest, and it deserves to be understood as such, separate from the controversy. The institutional failures documented here are real. Criminal convictions exist, and the people who expose them deserve credit. The question this hearing cannot answer is whether the person being installed to fix those failures has the independence to apply the same standard equally, including when the subject of an investigation is the president who nominated him. History will tell us whether the fix was genuine or whether it traded one form of politicization for another.